Using cheat stick, if you want to add Timmy, all you have to do is add character Timmy. Now he is a bit of a loner, and I'm going to explain in full detail what that means. He's already walked so far away, I'm thinking, should I take the car? So if you want to activate his GPS, you can use the command enable go GPS locator. And I'll turn off Virginia since she's so close. And we can take a look at Timmy's and notice that his is orange with a question mark. Very cool. So if you spawn to Timmy and you want to get rid of him, just use the command destroy Timmy 0. And you don't have to worry about Kelvin in this video. We buried him in the sand. I'm kidding, we'll dig him up. Oh wow, that actually worked. Can we get back to talking about Timmy now, guys? Really? Awesome. So using the debug tools, I can see that Timmy likes to wander. On a side note, this dude has no knowledge of what's going on around him, unless it's directly in front of his face. As you can see here, he does a good job once he can actually see his targets, but if it's not in line of sight and he hasn't initiated combat yet, it's likely that he's just going to walk right past this. But once he can see, his target's as good as gone, and he's actually pretty good at keeping his distance as well. We're going to get back more in combat in a second. Now I wanted to see how he interacted with the world, so I sped up time and just followed him around for a little bit. With Virginia and Calvin, they constantly stop and eat, take showers, sleep, but we didn't get any of this. And it got to the point where I had to make some action for him, because it was just pretty boring watching him do nothing but walk. Out in the darkness, I wondered if he'd be able to see any of these cannibals that I spawned. And he's got some dead-on accuracy. And a powerful gun, too. Even in the darkness, he kept his distance. The only issue I had is for a dude that doesn't eat, he sure didn't mind farting on the bushes. So back in the beach, I wanted to put that line of sight to test. I spawned in a couple of muddy males and leave it to Calvin to block that view. But he just walked right away. I tried this again, but this time I did it right in front of his face. And that's when I realized he doesn't even pay attention to the muddy males. They don't pose a threat, I guess. Now I tried this again with some male cannibals. The group spawned right next to him, and he didn't even notice it. This dude must not be able to hear or see worth a damn. That was right next to him. So I tried it again, this time we put him right in front of him. And again, his accuracy was right through the roof. Now it's in this test that I realized that I don't think the enemies can see him. At times I thought he was getting attacked, but it was more like they were ambushing me than it was him. Which is kind of weird if you ask me. Which kind of bums me out, but it makes sense since we're not supposed to really do this. Now I gotta admit, there were times when I thought this dude was a total badass. I mean, look at that. Look at that face. Look at that shot. If only we could do something about the farting. Never mind. So we've seen how he did with the cannibals. Now let's see if he works the same with a mutant, being a mutant himself. This is my first chance getting to play with the legsies, and you know I'm gonna do that animation. And I can even add the sound this time. And just like the cannibals, it doesn't look like the mutants target him either. They did their typical taunts, and they just came right after me, walking right past him. Now one thing I did notice here is that he can still take contact damage. Even if attacks are directed at him, he can still get caught in the crossfire. And the stats show that he has 250 health overall. Now of course I'm gonna try out the demons, since that's what he was intended to face in the first place. And they ignored him. He wiped the floor with them, even when they were trying to revive themselves. So since I knew that enemies couldn't attack him, I wondered, could I attack him? Could I kill this dude? I started everything, man. I threw rocks, hit him with a stick, threw spears at him, tried to give him a beatdown. I mean, everything I could think of. Set him on fire. Didn't seem like any status effects were taking place. I even lit a fire underneath him, and nothing. Getting a little crispy, huh? Swung the axe. I tried to hit him with the revolver. Electrocuted him. and even went through C4 at him. Nothing. I couldn't get him below 1 health. And just for S's and G's here, I went ahead and set up a couple of traps around him. Chose a grinder trap because these could also work as a prison to kind of hold him in place and still try to do some damage to him at the same time. Once all my traps were set, I went ahead and just spawned a baby on the inside. And just like before, no effect. He just sat there looking all tough. That's right. Now when I spawned a baby, I noticed that he was trying to shoot the babies, but something occurred to me. He can't. He's got no accuracy. He must be firing his gun as if it was a taller object and misses every time. Mostly every time. I spawned about 50 Timmys and they weren't getting the job done. So I spawned about 50 more and still nothing seemed to take this baby out. In the end, I had about 200 Timmys and most of them walked away. But the ones that stuck around just couldn't do it. If I was depending on these guys, that baby would have torn me up. But look how awful this is. I'm just gonna let it play out for you to show you that this was the worst firing. For everything that we saw so far and how good he shot, this was the worst. When he finally did kill the baby, this is what he had to say.
They're not like the others.
You don't say, do you?
They're not like the others.
We get it.
They're not like the others.
I get it. I was also curious if he was going to work in the cave, since he was kind of designed to be in a cave in the first place. When I went ahead and spawned him over here in the rebreather cave, he just stood there, didn't move, and stared at the wall. So I went down the line some and found some enemies, and I spawned a version of him over here. And he did the same thing. He kind of just stood there, didn't react until I brought the enemies closer, and then he finally started to engage with them. Now, unlike being on the beach before, it seemed like some of these enemies were actually trying to hit him, but I could have been mistaken at the same time. I do want to let you know real quick, we're going to deal with some spoilers, so if you don't want to see that, turn away here. Tried to go to the Puffton's house and see what would happen if I spawn him there, and something hilarious happened, and it gave me a good idea. While he didn't spawn exactly in their room, he would spawn on the outsides, either from the beginning or the side with the Hell Cave door. When I saw this right here, that's when I knew I had to try something crazy. Opened up the door and a few Timmys ran in, and I was like, oh, what if we had a whole bunch of Timmys? And this is where it started. The Timmy train. Look at this craziness. At this point, I knew I was committed and I was going to follow these guys all the way to the end.
They're not like the others.
It got so funny that they started running on top of each other. And I knew at some point I was going to try to do the same thing. Yeah, so many bodies.
They're not like the others.
We get it. Ridiculous. But there was no way I was turning back. And it didn't look like there was a chance that I was going to die either. Every once in a while, one of the Timmys would stop and just kind of comment on the area, and I thought that was pretty hilarious. Like, somebody's got to do it, right? Now, there were times I did get to ride on the Timmy train, and sometimes I was blocked off by complete gangsta fire onto these demons. And then we got here and they kind of got stuck. There was a demon down below, but they went ahead and took care of it. Let's go, boys. Move, move, move. Let's go. I don't think you guys are going to have an issue with that. That thing's really stepped up the crazy here. Because they all just started to merge together into the one final cutscene. They didn't even wait for the last guy. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail here. We're going to pretty much call it cuts here. But this is what happened. Most of the guys that stayed back behind merged together into this crazy animation. Pretty awesome. So as always, if you like what you saw, hit that like button. If you're new, subscribe. If you're old, maybe join a membership. Up to you. Until next time, I'll see you later.